I am honored by the opportunity to serve as the next congressman for the 17th Congressional District.
A short while ago, I spoke to my opponent, Michael Lawler, and congratulated him on a good win. I don't like to lose. But my opponent won this race, and he won it fair and square.
The person that won is Mike Lawler, declaring victory in New York's 17th Congressional District, followed by Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee Chair Sean Patrick Maloney, you just saw conceding in the race.
Maloney was tasked with holding the party's House majority, but in a stunning defeat, lost his own New York State race. The winner of the race, New York Republican Congressman-elect Mike Lawler, is with us now. Mike, welcome. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank
How are
you.
you feeling this morning, considering it really was a tremendous loss for Democrats?
I feel great. The voters in the 17th district send a strong message that they were tired of one-party rule. They wanted change. They wanted to restore balance and common sense at every level of government. And as I've said many times throughout the campaign, Democrats controlled everything in Washington, Albany, and New York City for the first time in our nation's history. And that's why New York sent 4 new members of Congress come January, and we're going to have 11 Republicans going to Washington, which is single-handedly going to deliver the majority.
Yeah, that's huge news for New York, and I want to talk about that in just a moment with you, but honing in on your opponent, chair of the DCCC. Yeah. This is a heavy hitter, and he's got a lot of, and he's been there, I think, since 2012 in that seat. What happened in terms of the Democrats in this race? There was talk about redistricting that was put forth. Did that backfire as well? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think redistricting played a critical role here. Back in January of this year, Sean Maloney, as chair of the DCCC, sent a memo to state Democrats demanding that they gerrymander New York's congressional maps, and they did. And ultimately, a Democrat-appointed Court of Appeals threw out the maps, ruled it unconstitutional, appointed a special master who gave us a fair map. And that's why we're going to have 11 members of Congress. In addition, like I said, they control everything. And you had a 41-year record high on inflation, surging crime, skyrocketing energy prices, a porous southern border. They own it. And Sean Maloney, in addition to all that, basically moved into a district where 75% of it was new to him. And I'm coming out of Rockland County, which is 42% of the district. So he didn't have a built-in advantage that a normal incumbent would have. And I think it was a confluence of events that really led to his defeat.
Obviously, there are still Democratic voters in your district.
Yep.
Do you plan on reaching out to them? I know you mentioned some high-profile politician names who would be calling you their own congressman.
Absolutely. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and George Soros live in the district. But there's 70,000 more Democrats than Republicans there. I didn't win without getting Democratic support. And currently, I represent a 2-to-1 Democratic district in the state assembly. My objective is to reach out to all of my constituents and make sure that I am representing them and the issues that they're concerned about, bringing down the cost of living, making our communities safer, bringing down energy prices. That's why I got elected and the issues I ran on. That's going to be my focus. So, across the board, we have a lot of work to do come January, and I'm excited to get started.
Yeah, 3,000 vote differential there. We were just taking a look at some of the tallies that were tabulated there in New York. So the nation didn't see the red wave maybe that Republicans thought might happen, but New York did see that. And you talked about the topics that seem to resonate with New York voters, and the big thing is crime. But broadening this whole thing out, why didn't this resonate with maybe states like Virginia that you thought might flip from blue to red, or others? Why do you think that didn't happen?
Look, I think across the board, sometimes I think maybe there's a little too much overemphasis on polls in the lead up to an election. The bottom line is this: Republicans are going to have a majority in the House of Representatives, and we're going to be able to stop the Biden agenda dead in its tracks. And really move the country in a better direction and tackle the issues that we campaigned on. In New York, I think the fact that there was one-party rule across the board really made a key difference here. In some of these other states, there's a number of factors, whether you're talking about some of the candidates that may have been on top of the ticket and how that may have impacted some of these down-ballot races. But in New York, we saw, a strong campaign by Lee Zeldin. Voter enthusiasm for Republicans was up, and we were able to win 11 congressional seats. and ultimately end Nancy Pelosi's reign as Speaker. And I think at the end of the day, that sends a big message nationwide.
Have you thought about who you'd like to see replace Pelosi as Speaker of the House?
I'll be supporting Kevin McCarthy as our next Speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll leave it right there. We appreciate the time. Congressman-elect Mike Lawler, flipping a seat, a major one from blue to red there in New York. We appreciate your time. Congratulations to you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the truth.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
Let me decide.
Newsmax.
real news
For real people.